What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy 5 Star in Vegas, and I'm broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. This is the Wagering World. I'm in here with my co-host. He's been with me since day one, since the very first episode when we started this back 4 years ago, man, and we're still going. Man, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spreadster? How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm excited. I've been watching a little more college basketball. So if we got some time, I might sneak some of those questions in for you at the end of the show today. But I see we have a packed script. So
I've gotten spread into being a college basketball guy. Now he's finally finished with the labor called NBA pro betting.
No, I'm like you, man.
I always say no bank account. That's what NBA stand for.
Yeah, I dropped it back. You know, I'm like you now. I'm probably, instead of doing 5 or 6 a day, it's 5 or 6 a week. Like I still spend some time doing it, but it's just there's so many. Like I'm not gonna waste my time now. If it's like if I'm doing Celtics 76ers and Jaylen Brown's questionable and Tyrese Maxey's questionable, like I'm not gonna bother handicapping.
Right.
There's no need, you know, it's just, there's too much up in the air.
Right. Indeed, man. It's pro sports betting period is like my least favorite thing to do. I don't care if it's NFL. I don't care if it's pro basketball. Hell, I barely can bet MLB, but MLB is a little bit better to bet than any of the other pro sports, man. We got a lot going on right now in the world spread. I call this show Saints and Sinners because Saints or Sinners because you remember going back. I wanted to call it the convicts versus the Catholics, but I didn't want to get sued or get it where we couldn't put it up on YouTube because I believe the guy has a 30 for 30 about that. But it was basically boiled down in the college football playoffs to it being about whether the committee was going to roll with Miami or they were going to roll with Notre Dame. I know that you're more into college football than in the past since we've been rocking together on the show for so long. You know a lot more about college football than we initially started this. I was more a college football guy. You were an NFL guy, but now you follow some college right now. What did you think about the entire process, first of all, and what do you think about the 12 teams that were picked?
I mean, first it was 2, then it was 4. Now we're at 12. I've already feels like we need more. Like, why isn't there? Let's just move it up to 32. Nobody's going to get upset.
Basketball.
I mean, really, cause I was joking around with my buddy. I go for the college basketball, right? You know, when the selection Sunday comes out, like a couple teams missed that were on the bubble, and we talk about it for about 5 seconds and then the games tip off and we never speak about it again because realistically the 65th team didn't have a good chance to really win the national title. And this is probably the same way too, like the 32nd. But I want to see Notre Dame. I would have liked to see Notre Dame travel to play Oregon. I think that would have been a great game in there. I also want James Madison and Tulane to have a shot, which is why I think you should just continue to expand the field.
Yeah. I don't want James Madison to have a shot because it boils down to this. It's special teams that we've seen before in, the teams that are outside the power conferences. We've seen a really good Boise State team. All of those teams kind of passed the eye test, I feel like, spread. And when I watched James Madison, even though we know that they can only play against the Sun Belt because that's their conference, they just don't match the eye test for me. And I've talked about Alonzo Barrett, the third, who's the quarterback, a couple years ago on the show. I thought that he would end up being a transfer portal guy and go quarterback for a major school, but he's kind of regressed a little bit. That's my issue with their team. He's not throwing the ball around like he did before, and it could have a lot to do with, their coaching staff had some turnover and is about to have some turnover again because Kurt Cignetti brought so much attention to that program. I've been betting them for a long time, man. When they were back in the FCS, they were one of the few teams that could contend with North Dakota State. But I just think that James Madison shouldn't be in there, man. I don't mind Tulane being in there. I feel like Tulane kind of passed the eye test. You got Jake Retzlaff, who came over from BYU, who's a big-time quarterback. I think that the books agree with me as well, Spread, because I don't feel like if you got the best 12 teams in the country, as you're saying that you do, how the hell is the first round minus 20.5? I bet it's now up to 21.5. I already took Oregon at 20.5 against James Madison. Like, they're going to blow them out in the first half. You know that, right? So I just think that they have to do some more tweaking. I talked about it last week. I don't know if you watched the show when me and Raheem did it.
Yeah, I was on there, yes.
Yeah, I said that Miami should get in over Notre Dame. I had the kahunas to bet it and end up hitting it for plus 300. And then I hit it again after I saw that Duke won and got it for plus 140 the night before. I was like, Miami's going to get in. They can't disrespect the ACC and not allow one of their teams to get in. So it ended up working out right where Miami went, because I feel like Miami should have been in the ACC championship and they would have blown out Virginia. But the thing is how the system is set. It made it where a 7-5 Duke team is playing Virginia, and it's just weird, man. I know that it's a new process they're doing for so long. It's been just about guys voting and getting in the room and stuff. So they're still tweaking the system as we add more teams. It seems to me that the FCS, you know how much I love betting that spread. The FCS has been doing it right for a long time, in my opinion. So maybe they need to take a couple tips from Little Brother and tweak the system and get it going right, because the way that it's currently is, the 12 best teams aren't in, this thing. Don't get me wrong. I did like Miami over Notre Dame, but do I think Notre Dame is a top 12 team in the country? Yes, I believe that they deserve to be there, but I want to give Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman a spank on the hand, because what they're doing, especially with them being Notre Dame, is not something that they should be doing. They should be playing in a bowl game. If you're so good, do like Kirby Smart did. Georgia didn't cry. They said, we were back-to-back champions and didn't get into the playoffs. No, they just went and beat the hell out of Florida State, because at the end of the day, it's bigger than just holding up these trophies and holding up this medal, guys. It's still competition. It's still football. And we preach that on the Wagering World. Like, you still have to have love for the game. And with Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, getting all mad and saying we're not going to play in the bowl games, we hope that ESPN loses money. It's dumb, man. It's dumb, and it's crazy how people get on different sides of arguments that benefit them, because the same people who are backing Notre Dame will be the first one screaming out, this is woke talk, if it was something else. You know what I mean? So Notre Dame, calm down. If you guys are so good, why didn't you just go play Vanderbilt in a bowl, or whoever the next team that wasn't held? I wouldn't have liked to see them against BYU. I think Notre Dame would have beat the hell out of BYU, but Vanderbilt and Notre Dame would have been a great game. So sometimes it's bigger than just a trophy, man. It's bigger than all of that. You get another, month to prepare with these guys. You didn't even get a chance to tell your seniors, Spread, like, this is our last game, guys. Let's give our best effort. You just quit. Like, I don't like this, Spread. What do you think about them not going to a bowl game?
Yeah, the whole bowl system needs an overhaul too. I can't remember who it was, older guy. They might as well just play him at the beginning of the year now, since everyone's opting out. I think 10 different schools. Yeah, 10 different schools have already opted out. And I mean, to a certain extent, the bowls are a little bit outdated. For example, when we were growing up, the reason the bowl appearance was so important was that was your one time to be on national TV. Right? I mean, for the most part, most of the games, you had your big games, of course, on ABC here and there, but most of them were locally broadcast. Now that doesn't matter, right? I mean, I have ESPN Plus, right? We watch everything, right? I'm amazed at like some of the college basketball I can watch on ESPN Plus. I'm like, there's like 17 people in this gym,
Right. I love
I'm surprised they even got a TV camera here.
It's the best bets. It's just like that in the tennis. They're the best. It's like the camera people are the only people there.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, I wish Notre Dame would have stayed in there. But I think, it's really just a sign of some of these bowls. I don't know what they're going to do. with that. It'll be interesting to see how the bowl system survives because it does seem kind of outdated. It's really irrelevant to the recruiting process now.
Okay, so these are the teams that opted out. You got Notre Dame because they were throwing a fit. You got Baylor, who I don't understand what kind of program Baylor's thinking they are. That they should have went and played in any bowl. I guess they're thinking that they're bigger than to go play in the Armed Forces Bowl or something. Kansas State, I think that's because their head coach is about to be fired if he hasn't already. Iowa State, kind of same situation. They just lost their head coach who's going to Penn State. Great X and O guy with Matt Campbell. You remember I was telling you about the scandal he survived with his starting quarterback, Hunter Dickers, and his mom betting on their games. Somehow it got swept under the rug, and Matt Campbell and his staff survived that. Even the staff was betting. They got a slap on the wrist from the NCAA. But Matt Campbell moves upward in his career, and he finally says, you know what, there's a lot of noise going on about this gambling. Let me get the hell out of here. So he went to Penn State, but I don't think that Penn State is going to keep the level that James Franklin had it on with Matt Campbell at head coach spread, because Matt Campbell isn't a good recruiter like James Franklin is. Virginia Tech is going to really see an upgrade in talent and what they get on the field because of James Franklin's recruiting ability. And then you got Rutgers. I don't know why the hell they wouldn't go play in the bowl. They should have been one of the first teams lined up. Florida State and Auburn, I can understand it because they had off years and their programs, they're proud and have won national championships. But I don't think that this is a good precedent that Notre Dame is setting. Notre Dame is in conference play in every sport except football. And now that it's backfired on them, they want to throw a fit. Jump in the conference, man. You're in the ACC already in basketball. Put your damn football team in the ACC. They probably would have won the ACC going away this year and would have gotten to the bowl very easily. So shame on Notre Dame, man. You guys are supposed to be saints, but maybe you're sinners. Right. Let's get on another guy who everyone thinks is a sinner, but I see him as a saint. We talk about our boy Shedeur Sanders. He finally gets an opportunity spread. We were the first ones on here talking about Shedeur the season before his senior year as a junior and the type of pro prospect that you and I thought he was. I kind of gave you some intel on it, and you started watching him a little closer and were very excited that he was going to the Raiders, and Antonio Pierce already had him number one on his board. And for some reason, Tom Brady came in and changed everything. I personally think that he was a guy who was attempting to be an owner, be a commentator, so he didn't want to rub anybody wrong. So if the big dogs in at the top in New York don't like Dion and they're saying don't touch his kid, or if you do a favor for me and don't touch this kid, I think he just kind of followed with what they had said. And that's why Shedeur didn't go to the Raiders, why Antonio Pierce gets fired from the Raiders. Antonio Pierce even did an interview talking about it, that it was some debate, and he was telling, like, I'm taking Shedeur. Like, what are you talking about? So now I kind of see this as a spiritual thing, spread, because they've dropped a kid who was a first rounder to a fifth rounder. They've made him a backup and a third string guy not getting any first string snaps. They have him behind the shortest guy in the league at quarterback, and Dylan Gabriel, who's not that talented, and a coach who obviously dislikes him, and a franchise who treats him like a stepson. So he goes through all of these things, and still somehow he ends up being the first rookie quarterback this season and on his third start to throw for 300 yards. He actually threw for 360. People are saying the Titans are a bad defense. Well, why the hell none of the other quarterbacks all season who played the Titans have thrown for over 300 yards? And now they're trying to bring up yards after catch too, spread. I've never heard anyone complain about a quarterback's getting stats from yards after catch until recently. So for some reason, these people just will not relent on the Shedeur Sanders. We were first on here saying that he was a player and a better player than Cam Ward, even though I was the first talking about Cam Ward too. We said he out of incoordinate word in 2020 that he had pro capabilities. He ends up going to Washington State, ends up going to Miami, and there he goes. Him and Shedeur share a trainer, a quarterback trainer, so they became close and friends, and they kind of are going to be parallel the rest of their career. But I think that we saw on Sunday that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a much better pro player. People are trying to make all excuses. What do you think about his performance and just about the whole thing with us on this show, Spread? How long we've been yelling for Shedeur Sanders and no one was hearing us.
Yeah, and it's so funny how everything keeps changing here. So the one that the people criticizing Sanders keep harping on is completion percentage now. And it's like, okay, right? I mean, you can get a good completion percentage if you check down every single time, right? I mean, the reason you draft Shedeur Sanders is because he's a guy that, and he'll get criticized for this too, and that's probably something he should clean up, is some of the excessive backpedaling. But you want a guy that's trying to make plays. You want a guy that's pushing down the field. That's going to lower your completion percentage. Also, look at the weapons he's working with. I mean, look how much better Joe Flacco looked as soon as he got to Cincinnati and he had T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. All of a sudden, Flacco is great. Oh, boy, turning back the clock, right? Yeah. And Sanders is out there with Jerry Jeudy, who in my mind is like a wide receiver 3 at best. I mean, Steve Smith already put him in his place. He's not the guy that I would want leading my team. And if you think about it, I have to go over everyone in my head. Might actually be its counterpart, Cam Ward. But Jeudy might be the worst number 1 in the league. I'm trying to think. Tennessee's Calvin Ridley. That's an interesting argument.
Ridley's better than Jeudy. He's better. Jeudy is basically, he thinks that he's a 1, but he's really Robbie Anderson, who's Robbie chosen now. They play just alike. Same type of game, same unreliability in their game. Continue, Spread. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, no, that was it. I mean, they just find reasons to, and I'm actually pretty impressed because we talked about it before. I said I'm not going to use if he fails in this situation as a referendum because it's a terrible situation. I don't even know why it wasn't even the game for the 2-point conversion. At the end of the day, I was happy as a Raiders fan because I wanted Titans. I wanted the Titans to win as a Raiders fan so they can move up a little bit in the standings, right? Because a Titans win actually helped me. Although I was rooting for Cleveland, even though I shouldn't have been. But I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you not even like? I understand maybe doing a trick play, but at least make them respect the idea that Sanders might be out there.
Have to go for 2 Spread before that. You're down 21 points. Shedeur gets you into the end zone because Shedeur, what was impressed to me that last game was after the bad play that kind of gave the Titans momentum to get back in the game. Mm-hmm. It was an avalanche, and the Titans went up 21 points. But Shedeur, like we've seen them do over and over again in college at Colorado, kept fighting, kept shooting, kept trying to score. They get a score and get the game down to 14 points. Why in the hell? No, excuse me, get it to 8 points. Why in the hell are you going for 2 right here to keep it at 8? It's just malpractice, it just makes no sense. And then when you actually need the 2, a problem that you created from your bad decision making instead of just kicking the damn extra point. Stefanski is one of the greatest definitions of why I made that segment, because it made no sense at all if you're down, potentially about to be down 7 points, to go for 2 points. That damn analytics. Take your ass back to the Ivy League and coach with that mess. Nobody cares about that. Just line up, kick the extra point. Now you're down 1 score, 7 points. You guys can go to OT. But maybe it's smart. Maybe he's not trying to win. Maybe him and Andrew Berry just want, Shedeur to play well and develop him and set themselves up to be higher in the draft. Because, no one won from winning that game, So the Titans fans were probably pissed that they won and beat the Browns anyway. But people are trying to say, you still lost to the worst team in the league. If you didn't watch every snap of that game, I don't want to hear your opinion, because the only reason you're doing this from emotions, you're hating instead of just dealing with facts. That's what they don't get about the show, and why I push so hard against everything that the NFL scouts tried to say about Shedeur, Spread, because you and I know, you've known me for a long time. I don't give a damn what you look like. If you can play, I'm going to just say you can play. And they aren't going by film in college. We saw in film on film in college, the same thing we saw last Sunday. The anticipation, the great feel for the game, the great throws, the chunk plays. The reason he gets these sacks are the same reason C.J. Stroud gets them, Patrick Mahomes gets them, Josh Allen gets them, Herbert gets them. It's because these guys are waiting for their receivers to get downfield and break open, man. They're trying to hit your ass for 25, 30-yard chunk plays, and that's how you win in the NFL. You don't win in the NFL with Dylan Gabriel throwing 25 checkdowns for 200 yards, bro. Like, that's not how you win. And real NFL scouts and coaches know this. And somewhere it's a coach salivating right now. And they saying, man, we're going to figure out a way to get Shedeur. All of the stuff's over with the NFL. I don't think we'll get in trouble if we go get him now. And they're going to get him, and he's going to become one of the best passers we've seen in the league because he's only played 3 games, man. He's only got the chance to run with the first team for 3 games. And you're telling me he's already the only rookie that throw for 300 yards to account for 4 touchdowns? No other rookie. If you'd have played the whole season, he would have won offensive rookie of the year. We knew that, though. Like, people are forgetting this man's DNA. Okay, he's not as fast as Deion, but who gives a damn? Deion was a grinder. Deion was a guy who believed in discipline. Deion was a guy who was going to watch film. You don't think he passed that to his son? Now, all of a sudden, any other player, like, for instance, Ty Simpson, who's the quarterback for Alabama, it's a strength that his dad was a coach and coached him. With Shedeur, it's a deficit. Well, he's Deion's son. But Deion was one of the best and one of the most disciplined guys. It's just all BS. But we're going to continue to tell you the truth on the Wagering World. We're going to continue to only deal with film, man. We're going to tell you what we see on the film. We don't have favorites. We have favorites by who pays us and who plays well. So I'm really glad to see that Shedeur is a perfect example to anyone who's out there who people lie on, who people tear you down, people tell you can't do it, to keep going, man, because no one's in control except the creator, man. And he's going to present an opportunity for you if you keep grinding. All right, let's get to the pass spread.
All right. Well, I think we already did a pretty good summary of what happened with the Titans and the Browns. The Titans, of course, cover the +4. That game goes way over. 34. I still can't believe I got scared off of betting that one. Let's talk about what we saw, though, it was the weather that scared me off. I mean, really.
That's the spread. We've been doing this too long. If it's rain and snow, always bet over. They're trying to trick you. Yeah. The only time you can worry about the under is when it's wind.
Is the wind. You know, yeah. I was just a little bit worried there. So anyways, it's not like I bet the under. I just did not bet the over.
Right.
The Cowboys took on the Lions. The Lions won that game, right? I bet the Lions.
Yeah, they won. It's so long ago now, right?
Yeah, right. Remind me there. Lions took on the Cowboys. It was a fairly easy win too, wasn't it?
Yeah. Me and Raheem broke this game down. I was on the over for the first half and for the game, and the clients is where we played the easy over. That's the only thing that I could see from this game because you had an improving Dallas defense and they were a hot team. You know what I think about Schottenheimer. So I didn't want to jump on the side because then on the other side, you got a mad Dan Campbell. You got the Lions who have lost 2 games in a row, and you know how they are after a loss since Dan Campbell's been the coach. I also bet 2 touchdowns to be scored by the great running back. We knew that he was going to get in the end zone twice. That was at plus, I think, 200 or whatever it was. And Jahmyr Gibbs gets it done for us as he scores twice and has a huge game. I've been talking about the problem with the Lions is that Dan Campbell got too tricky and, was trying to keep up with the trick plays that Ben Johnson and he used to do before. Just run the damn ball. You got an all-pro tackle, Penei Sewell. You got an all-pro running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, and probably the best backup in the league at running back. Just run the damn ball. Make it easy for Goff. But also, I had to factor into this game that the field goal kickers for both sides can hit from 60. So it was an easy over, and I'm glad we were able to catch. Very entertaining game. Oh, George Pickens. That's what – do you remember to talk about – did you watch the game spread?
I missed the play that when he doesn't try it when he was double
Yeah,
covered.
yeah, he was a little
Yeah.
lackadaisical. Some of
And
these guys
then
can't throw it well when they're told to not perform and to go under for the book.
yeah.
You can see it so clear. Like, yeah, that didn't look good.
Yeah. And then he got into it with who did he get into it with? One of the announcers. Anyways, let's move on. That was the game that I watched the least. One game I did watch a lot was the Steelers and their upset of the Baltimore Ravens. Steelers moved to 7-6, first place in the AFC North. We thought that division was going to be a juggernaut. They're all limping into the playoffs right now. Ravens, boy, they just show you, they're like the NBA team that they can't get a stop. The defense is just so bad. Even the Steelers offense was able to look good against them. Lamar Jackson's going through a little rough patch right now. I think he's carrying an injury, and it's so different. We talked about how I'm getting away from watching the NBA, right? These guys sit out with a sore hamstring. Lamar's out there. He's definitely not 100%. I mean, if this is the NBA, they would have already shut him down for the rest of the year. Daniel Jones is playing on a broken leg, doing the best he can to get out there, right? I mean,
Crazy.
I mean, it's just crazy how much these guys push themselves through. But I think for the Ravens this year, it might just be, they're just too beat up. When they lost that one D tackle, and I can't pronounce his name, but we knew that he was really high rated, and we could see the effect that he had on the line of scrimmage, even on the games when he plays that he's not accumulating sacks. I already knew they were in trouble because that was going to limit their ability to stop the run and put some more pressure on their secondary. And that's kind of what ended up happening. And then, like I said, Lamar's not 100% healthy either. And we're not seeing the same guy. And I think sometimes when you're carrying those injuries, it affects everything. Even if it's a lower body injury, affects the way you throw. So I'm not writing the Ravens off yet, but this isn't their year. The Steelers, I mean, are they just destined to lose in the wild card round every single year for the rest of our lives? I mean, it feels like they're right on the same exact trajectory. And I just don't know if I can trust Rodgers in that offense in a playoff game. What did you see in that one?
I'm not trusting them at all. That game really ticked me off because I took the Ravens live for a nice amount at plus 260. And as you said, Lamar is all banged up. He's not Lamar Jackson. You can see from the way he can't escape right now. So with him being unable to escape, and then you multiply that by having a horrible offensive line, so it's just he's not having enough time, and he doesn't have the escapability that he usually has to make up for the poor blocking that he's receiving from that O-line. As you said, the defensive tackle changed everything, but at this point, it's going to have to be a foul guy. Is it going to be John Harbaugh? I think it's going to be Zach Orr. I'm really surprised they haven't fired him during the season. Maybe they're accounting for the injuries because the Ravens defense is completely flipped now, and you can't trust it. Anytime you having the Steelers, you having Aaron Rodgers doing the freaking double discount check on you, like it's freaking 2010. It's an issue, man. So I'm not high on either one of these teams. As the year goes by, you see team morale. I think that the Steelers are still fighting because Mike Tomlin has a lot of pros on this team. It's a lot of guys who are long in the tooth and played a lot of football on that team. So, of course, with them being in first place, they're trying, and they're probably actually believing they can win, but we as bettors know that they can't win the Super Bowl or even get out the AFC. The Ravens, might be time to go on and shut down Lamar, man, before you do more damage. You just spoke about that with Daniel Jones, and we'll get to that game next. Daniel Jones had no business out there. After word came out, and was crazy, they tried to hide it. And it came out right before the Texans game, and that's what made me unload on the Texans. I'm like, man, Daniel Jones without mobility, and he ends up, what did he tear his Achilles or ACL or some similar situation we saw with KD in Golden State, we saw with Klay Thompson in Golden State. You cannot try to force these guys to play. Even if they want to play, you have to be the voice of reason to say, man, I know you want to give it your all for this franchise, but hey, man, we need you to worry about your life. Daniel Jones got hurt because he's putting too much pressure on his other ligaments to make up for trying to play. Man, imagine trying to drop back over and over with a freaking broken leg. Like, that's why he had a non-contact injury. He really has a lawsuit against the coach if we're going to be real, unless he signed a waiver or something, because he had no business being out there, man. What did you see in that Colts and Jags game spread? Dominant performance by the Jags after Daniel Jones gets hurt. The Colts right now spread have gone from being an AFC favorite to I think they're minus 400 to not make the playoffs. They got in old man Rivers. They called in Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is like our age out there trying to play football. Good luck with that.
His last time he played was 2020. He's 44 years old. What I saw is the Jaguars team that we barely talk about, and they're 9-4. Yeah, it just shocks me. You know, I mean, we talk so much about the turnaround of the Patriots. The Chicago Bears has been a good story, and I'm not trying to downgrade either of those teams. But what Liam Cohen's done there in Jacksonville is just as impressive as what Vrabel and Ben Johnson have done, and we're not talking about that at all. And I can't remember the man's name, but the defensive coordinator has that defense hitting. And it's a fast, athletic defense. I'm kind of intrigued to see what Jacksonville can do. I think maybe one of the reasons that we kind of overlook them is that we just don't – no one really believes in Trevor as far as his ability to get things done in the big game, and maybe that's why we're offsetting them. But Cohen's continued to get improvement there. Jacoby Myers was a huge pickup. I mean, he for whatever reason, Trevor likes him more than Brian Thomas. They seem to have found that's the type of receiver that works well with Trevor. Yeah, and that's my only complaint with Cohen is I think he has Thomas not running a bunch of routes that he's not meant to be an underneath Chris Godwin type of guy. He's supposed to be an explosive Mike Evans type of guy, right? Let's get him back over there. 4 catches, 120, not 10 catches for 70. So, but overall, I'm really impressed with Jacksonville. I was on the Jaguars as well. And I will probably always just bet that until Indianapolis wins. I mean, I've been doing that for like 5 years. It's like Indy can't win in Jacksonville, and I have no idea why. But it exists. But I'm curious. I'll be rooting for the Jaguars. I think it'd be a good story. It's fun for me as a Raiders fan to see some of these teams turn their franchises around. But I think I'm probably like the rest of the public where we're really hesitant to trust Trevor now in big games, which is crazy considering the level of prospects he was. What are you seeing there? And do you think that Jacksonville can actually get a playoff win this year?
My man doesn't. And we agree completely because they're going to be playing for the AFC South title against the Texans within the next 3 weeks. The Texans have a favorable schedule the rest of the way. I think we got the Cardinals this week, and then after that, I forgot who is. It's all of the tough games are off the schedule for the Texans, and the Texans
for the Texans because they were one of my favorite best ball teams for this reason. Who do you guys play this week?
The Cardinals, I believe, this week.
Then you're going to play Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
And then you play the Chargers, and I can't remember week 18 because that doesn't matter.
The Jags. The Jags.
Oh, is that where 18 is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 17 is the Chargers. That's the only one that's kind of tough on the schedule.
They're going to beat them just because you already got, unless it's just overwhelming money on the Texans, because now everyone's talking to defense. Now they're catching up to what we were already saying, that they had the best defense. And with the fact that Mahomes is out of the picture, Lamar's out of the picture, those were the two quarterbacks who had success against the Texans. The rest of the big name quarterbacks in the AFC, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, they hate to see the Texans' helmets coming because they haven't had any success against them through their entire career. Trevor Lawrence, so those are the it seems like they've already slayed the two, dragons that they needed to with the Ravens and with the Chiefs. So they're in a really good spot along with CJ Stroud can put up 24 points a game, which he should be able to. He just needs to get comfortable. Trust your reads. Let the ball go. Let it fly. Be yourself, CJ. Stop overthinking, and, it's nothing wrong with being a game manager. Maybe it's time to ride Woody Marks and just let that good defense do what it needs to do. But the Jags have the Jets this week. They got the Broncos the following week, which is going to most likely be a loss because it's in Denver. And the Broncos need to win to keep the top seed. Then the Jags go to the Colts, which is going to be tricky, even though we don't know who the quarterback's going to be for Indianapolis, because it's still a home game for Indianapolis. They've been in a bad stretch as a division opponent, and they still have Jonathan Taylor. And then the last week they played the Titans. So I'm sorry, the Texans don't play them again. I forgot the Texans and them split. You had the Texans losing that game at the beginning of the year against Jacksonville, where they had the game. All they had to do was hold the ball. They end up fumbling. Nico Collins fumbles. Jags get the ball and end up stealing the victory. But then you had the Texans steal a victory back when C.J. Stroud gets hurt and Davis Mills comes back with a miracle win. They kind of got the momentum going for the Texans. Actually, the only bad game the defense has played. So it's going to be an interesting race down the stretch out of those two teams. They'll definitely spread.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see how that continues to turn out. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears, who fell short against the Packers. I got that one wrong. I listened to the show. You and Raheem were with me too, so we're obviously a little disappointed there. My main takeaway is Caleb still got some work to do. It'll be interesting to see if Ben Johnson can get it done. I mean, that game was kind of the epitome of what we've seen from Caleb Williams in the NFL so far. There's certain plays that he made that, not everybody. I hate to say when they say, oh, he's the only guy in the league can make it. No, there's at least 5 or 10 guys that can roll out and throw a dart like that, right? But, he was making really impressive highlight plays, right? Making plays out of nothing, using his legs. But then you see that decision-making, and it wasn't just the 4th down play. Of course, that's going to come to our mind because it felt like, not only was it the wrong read, he probably could have just tucked it and run. So, a couple mistakes there. He misses a lot of wide open receivers, and sometimes he hits them late in the route too, where, you talked about yards after catch earlier, right? It's the difference between just a catch and a tackle and not hitting if he gets them right out of his break. And I don't think that these things can't be coached out of him, but I'll be curious because, sometimes, the people just don't process, especially when they're as talented as Caleb and they can kind of get away with that backyard ball. I mean, even at Oklahoma and USC, he was relying kind of on his athleticism, his ability to extend the play and kind of let it get chaotic for the defense, where they're having to hold their zone for 6, 7, 8 seconds, right? It gets really tough for sometimes these defenders don't know who to commit to. So that was my main takeaway. I love what Ben Johnson's doing with that team, and I'm just curious to see. I think out of anyone, he can get Caleb to his highest. I'm just wondering what the ceiling is. Is he always going to be kind of a highlight merchant that could beat anybody or lose to anybody, or will he ever become consistent? What are you seeing there with Caleb Williams? Because I think we both agree that, the Packers are a pretty good team and they got a good chance to make the Super Bowl. But what did you see from the Bears, and where do they need to go from here to kind of get over this next hump and actually compete with the top of their division?
I initially said that Ben Johnson was going to move off of Caleb after the first quarter of the season, because I was seeing the body language between them. I was hearing the interviews. Things have turned around, and now I think that he's going to put the time and work in with Caleb, not only during practice, but in the offseason, to get him into being that guy. The reason why he likes Caleb is he's learning that Caleb's a fighter. He likes how they back and how Caleb never quits and is always trying to figure out a way to win the game. And that's the thing that Ben Johnson can hold on to. I can get you out your bad habits, but let me see, if I want a robot who can run my system, but when things go haywire, as Jared Goff used to, it's just all I could do is fold up. Or do I want a guy who has the heart of a lion, and even though he's going to make some mistakes, he's going to try, and he's going to also hit chunk plays like we just talked about. So you live with that with Caleb Williams. He's impressing me, man. Everything that we thought that he was going to have issues with is exactly what he's having issues with. You remember leading into the draft, I said I didn't like the fact that Caleb doesn't anticipate well. He has to see guys open to throw it. And whether people understand this or not, Yak is created by the quarterback. That's one of the things that makes Shador so good, makes Brady so good, makes who's a precision passer, Breeze so good. When a running back or receiver is coming out the backfield and running their route, if they're catching the ball where they can get right into their move as if it's a handoff, then you're going to create bigger plays. Caleb has the issues, as you said, with making receivers have to stop, and he's not hitting them on time. Perfect example was the last play call. Absolutely wonderful job by Ben Johnson. People are like, why didn't he call timeout? Why is it in the clock? Ben Johnson was about to score with no time left or like less than 10 seconds and go for 2 and walk off. That's what he was setting up this game. So bad beat, bad break, bad handicap. Hey, man, it's just a bad break for us. That was the right handicap taking the Bears. And Ben Johnson called the right play at the end. It's just that Caleb thought that with his throwing talent, he would want to make a highlight. He was rolling left, looking all cute, and he rotated his body so it looked nice. You know, that's one of his favorite throws is throwing that little, I'm running left, but I can throw back right, bucket throw. And he thought that he was going to be able to get it over the defender and get it high to the tight end, and his tight end was going to make a play for him in the end zone. But all he had to do was wait 1 millisecond, and DJ Moore popped free. He would have walked in the end zone on a much easier throw. So he got caught up in a little traffic, though, before he appeared, and Caleb didn't wait on him. But I'm not mad at picking that game at all. And you know how much I love Matt LaFleur. These two coaches, LaFleur and Ben Johnson, are going to be going at it for years, bro. Like this is going to, before the Packers and Bears rivalry was in theory, it was just because they played so long and their fan bases are so big and, they're so beloved by their fan bases and cities. Now they actually have a rivalry with 2 young quarterbacks who can play and 2 really awesome head coaches.
All right. Well, let's move on because the used to be San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers got the win over Philadelphia. Let's talk about Philadelphia because I think that's kind of the more interesting side here. Good win for the Chargers. Good performance for Herbert. Of course, every quarterback makes mistakes, but you also saw him extend some plays and make some great throws that led to the victory. But really what I'm seeing there in Philadelphia is how badly they miss Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
This offense looks really basic, and you're kind of seeing, I don't even want to say the limitations of Jalen Hurts, but when the plays are just so basic and the route trees are so basic, like, I don't know, what is he supposed to do here? Like, they all know they're all just running like posts and crossers. I mean, there's not a lot going on. The blocking isn't the same. I mean, Lane Johnson means so much to that team. We're actually the Raiders fans right now, and I we're just looking at that injury report, hoping Johnson returns this week because he's so much different for their offensive line. But even if they do get fully healthy, I think the major problem is the offensive coordinator and, Sirianni, Tomlin, to a certain extent, Campbell. These guys are great motivators, and they might be good as a CEO type, but it shows you how dependent they are on their coordinators. And when I'm seeing the type of play design that Philadelphia is putting out there, I have no hope for the rest of their season, regardless of how talented their team is. What do you think about the Eagles? Am I just making too much of this one result?
No, you're right on point. They have a really easy schedule, so they'll be in the playoffs. We'll see if they're able to find a formula that works. Jalen Hurts is struggling, not because he's a bad quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. He's a Super Bowl winner. You've seen 2 great performances by him in the Super Bowl. But the thing that changed is the same thing that happened the last time that they went to the Super Bowl. This time they're coming back as Super Bowl champions, losing their offensive coordinator. Last time they were coming back as Super Bowl runner-ups, losing their offensive coordinator. I really, really love their head coach. I think he's a smart dude. I think he's sharp, but he's a guy that knows how to hire coordinators and let them do their work, kind of like Bill Parcells used to do. And that's a good thing. He just has made another bad hire for OC. They did it after Shane Steichen left and took the coach job. They went and got Brian Johnson, who's now on the Texans staff. Brian Johnson did a horrible job. So guess what happened? They struggled that year. Remember, they lost in the first round at Tampa Bay. They underachieved. Jalen Hurts was not Coached up properly by the offensive coordinator. They go and get an ex-quarterback in Kellen Moore who knows what he's doing. He comes from Dallas running a completely different offensive system, tailors the offense to get the best out of Jalen Hurts, the receivers, and Saquon Barkley. They do numbers, they win the Super Bowl. Now, unfortunately, Sirianni has another bad hire in Kevin Patullo. And Kevin Patullo won't be the coordinator there next year. They'll make the adjustment, and then the Eagles will be back because Howie Roseman is too good at building rosters, and he knows what's going on. This isn't the same situation before when they won the Super Bowl with backup guys and moved off of them. Like Jalen Hurts is going to be there. He's going to be the quarterback, and he's going to be successful. It's just this isn't their year. A lot of off-season stuff happened with them winning the Super Bowl, and as I said, just the wrong hire. So I think the Eagles will be all right, but just not this year. They will not repeat as Super Bowl champs. I don't even think they get out the NFC. I think that the Rams would beat them. I think the 49ers possibly could beat them. But I do not see them coming out the NFC this year. And it's all just because of bad offensive coordinator hire. There go my boy J-Dub, 6 different offensive coordinators, 6 years. That's right. When you hire well, your guys are going to move on. All right, Spread, let's get to the present and talk about tonight, man.
All right, we're going to talk about tonight. Let's move on. I already got a bet on this game. It looks like I got a little CLV.
Okay.
I'm on Nebraska tonight here.
Okay.
They're taking on Wisconsin, but the thing, Nebraska is a fun team to watch. It's one of the reasons why I'm starting to like college basketball. It's kind of the diversity of the teams. To me, Nebraska, they kind of remind me of, you go to the gym and you see the older white guys that can just shoot and they're out there running with everyone. You're like, how are you guys doing this? You're also slow. Like none of you guys can jump, and they make every shot. Nebraska's got a bunch of snipers, and they are at home. I'm on Nebraska tonight. I've been impressed with what I've seen so far. I think that they're going to be fun come tournament time, both the conference tournament and the March Madness, just because if they get hot, I think that they can keep up with almost anyone. I don't know about the top teams, but with almost anyone, I could see them being one of those, 12-5 type of upsets there. I like Nebraska tonight against Wisconsin. Do you think I'm overlooking Wisconsin?
Yeah, you and a lot of people like Nebraska, and I'm on the other side. Give me Wisconsin. Only reason why is because you got two teams who are very similar in that they're, can shoot the three really well. The difference is, Fred Hoiberg is going to get his son plays for the team as well. And Fred Hoiberg, come on, he was a sniper. So, of course, he's going to have guys that can shoot the rock. They're a really good home team as well. My thing is this. I just like Wisconsin's athleticism, and I also like Greg Gard. He's a hard-nosed coach. So I don't have to worry about the defensive effort from Wisconsin. Now, can they score enough points along with Nebraska? Because Nebraska, with their shooting ability, is going to get some points. So I'm going to take the 2. I like, I am with short numbers. Yeah, I like short numbers, man. So I think that Wisconsin is the better team. So give me the +2 and give me Wisconsin. I just think that Wisconsin they're the only team that could push. No, it's 3 teams in the Big Ten. Excuse me, because Indiana can score, but I don't know if their roster is good enough. But Michigan State, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin is the one team that can stop the Michigan teams from ruling that conference. So yeah, I'll be on Wisconsin tonight.
All right, let's talk about the NBA Cup quarterfinal. Boy, the Oklahoma City Thunder laying 14.5 here. That's probably another reason I like college a little more than the NBA this season. It feels like it's like 4 or 5 teams. I mean, if we have time, we can continue to talk about it, but really legitimate championship contenders. When I look at the Thunder, I mean, this team to me is right now head and shoulders above every other team. I mean, they missed Jalen Williams for a while, and they didn't miss a beat. That's arguably their second best player. You can kind of talk about whether it's him or Chet, but definitely, one of their top players. Most people will be really hurt by that absence. They moved on without him at all. Now, at the same time, 14.5 is a huge number. The Thunder do have the history of covering these bigger numbers. Phoenix, I think, is going to be okay after all. I think they kind of got some things here. they're more heliocentric around Booker, but I think that works because they added some athleticism around him. And I think they're going to continue to improve. Maybe the lack of expectations is helping that team as well. I'm not playing this game. The spread's too high. I don't know. I just didn't really see an edge here with those tougher ones. Are you getting involved in this one?
Auto bet OKC.
Right.
This is auto bet, man. You just got to live with the results. Why the hell would I ever fade SGA and those young boys? They have it on their mind. They have a great leader in SGA who's reached that point now. It's kind of like when Kobe was able to win the championship with Shaq. After that, like, it's nothing you could tell him. He was not only confident, but it was almost to the point of arrogance and braggadocious because he knew, I got you. It's nothing you're going to be able to do tonight to stop me from doing what I want to do. And that's how SGA is right now, man. Like, if you look at that team, if the Thunder walked into a gym right now with a bunch of other pros, they would be one of the teams you look at as like, they're sorry, they ain't with the shit, just because they don't look the part. They don't have all these big muscular guys and, all these tough guys. They're just a good mixture of guys who understand how to play ball. And with the perfect young leader in SGA, and he sets such a high level of expectations for them that everyone responds. This game is to go to Vegas for the NBA Cup. They want to win everything. They want any title that's available. I like this young team. Dagnall has done an unbelievable job. Shout out to Coach Ricky G, because Ricky told me about Dagnall, like, when the OKC still was ass, and maybe like 2 weeks into the season, he was like, man, watch the plays Dagnall is running. He's like, he's different, man. And now his system is all the way in, and they have a system that just replace guys, just throw them out there. And I shout out to the Rockets, because that's one thing that I like about Ime Udoka. He's creating a similar thing in the Rockets where it doesn't matter. It's next man up, but the quality doesn't drop. And I think he got that from the Celtics, because the Celtics are the same way, where it's a system, and it doesn't matter who's in. They're going to run it, and they're going to execute it. OKC minus 14.5, man. They're trying to go to Vegas.
All right, let's see what happens in that one. The Lakers have been taking so much money. This opened at 4.5. It's Lakers minus 7.5 now. Total's 241.5. I don't know if I'm just being the traditional Sacramento Kings Lakers hater, but give me the Spurs plus the points here. What am I missing? Why is this line moved so far?
The Lakers don't play enough defense for me to lay points with them. So they're going to try to outscore you. So the game probably goes over. If we have a strong game from Wemby, and, we know how competitive De'Aaron Fox is. He's one of your old Kings, so he has a natural hate and detest for the Lakers. And also some little backstory, Magic Johnson wanted to draft De'Aaron Fox, and he got, the family said, nope, the Buss family, it's like, nope, we're taking Lonzo. And so he got outvoted, but people say that Fox, one of his things that kind of motivated was that the Lakers passed on him. So I think that Fox is going to play really well tonight. And I think the 7 is just too much. It probably come down to a buzzer beater, because just for NBA TV and for entertainment purposes, with OKC probably beating the crap out of Phoenix first, we got to have one good game. So I think this will be the good game. So I'm with you on that one. Give me the Spurs plus 7.
All right, we're going to take the Spurs plus the points. Tomorrow night, the Falcons travel to take on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers continue to take money. Dave Mason over at Bet Online, if you follow him on X, he'll tweet out his betting percentages. And this is one of the highest ones.
I need to know that, because I only follow the MGM guys, and sometimes I don't know if they're working or not. Who's the guy you said that has the betting?
Dave Mason. I think it's Dave Mason BOL. I'll send you one of his right now just so you can see it.
Text them, and I'll and follow.
Yeah, they're around. Buccaneers are around 70% right now. I can understand why, though, right? It's a dome team outdoors versus a Buccaneers team that's still fighting for their playoff lives. Unfortunately, we talk about people playing hurt. I think Baker Mayfield's playing hurt as well. If you look at the way he was playing for the first 6 or 7 when he was a fringe MVP candidate to now, I mean, he just didn't forget how to play quarterback. I did see that they are getting healthier, though, out there. Wide receiver, both Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan will be back in the lineup. So that's a little boost there. But I don't know if that would be my concern. It feels like they have enough weapons regardless of whether or not Evans is playing. I'm just going to be interested to see how the Buccaneers do against that Falcons rushing attack. We know that the Falcons air attack isn't as good after turning the ball over to Kirk Cousins, and Drake London's going to continue to be out there. So it's going to be Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney once again. But if Bijan Robinson can have a good game, and that could be catching passes out of the backfield as well, not just running the ball, because that's the way I would attack the Buccaneers defense. I would try and use the screens, short plays, stuff like that to get Bijan the ball in space. I don't want to run against Vita Vea. Let me give Bijan some room to get away from that man before he gets going. But I trust him against most of the other Buccaneers defenders. So good argument there to be made for Atlanta, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. What do you think? Is the public right? I mean, it's not like they don't win. The old motto: the public wins sometimes, right? You can't just blindly go against these betting splits. Or do you think this line move was correct and the Buccaneers are the right side?
As a bettor, everything in this game is screaming to take the Falcons. My problem is it's hard for me to bet teams who kind of mailed it in. We don't know if Raheem Morris is coming back. I
don't think he is, and that's one of my concerns with taking. We don't know. I think Morris is gone.
Yeah, so we don't know if the locker room is kind of mailed it in on them. They didn't look good in the second half. It was so janky because everything was pointing to last week the Falcons covered. All the sharps were taking the Falcons. I'm like, I ain't betting that. I'm taking the Seahawks. But I only took the first half with the Seahawks, right?
Same here. Yeah.
The Seahawks freaking blow it in the first half, and then they come out with a touchdown right off the gate. I think my guy from the Saints who came over there, Shaheed. Right? Yeah, he goes to the house on a kick return. So I'm like, try to be all smart and shit. And I take my group like, all right, jump in now. We took 9.5 at the Falcons, and they got murdered from that point on. Like, they didn't score anything else, and they just got smacked around the field. So it's going to be, I'm kind of like bitter right now with the Falcons, so I don't think I'm going to bet them. There's too many things going against them, and you cannot have Darnell Mooney as your wide receiver one and expect to win. But with the way the NFL is and how janky these standalones are, I would not be surprised at all if the Falcons are able to cover this game. What I will say is this, though. I think that, as you said, Baker Mayfield is beat up. He's really beat up. He's already a small guy, but he has a lot of heart. But you're seeing that something's wrong, I think, with his shoulder, man, with his throwing shoulder. Might have, just like pitcher's fatigue.
Well,
right?
that's what happened the year that he lost his contract for Cleveland. He shouldn't have played that year.
He's a small guy, man.
Yeah, and then he was running around playing on that bad shoulder. And I think the year before he had 4,000 yards and a good TD interception ratio, and he was setting up for that huge extension. Then he plays hurt, and the Browns decide to move on from him. If you look at the film, it's kind of similar. Why? That's why I think it's that same shoulder too, and he's just not saying
it's the same shoulder. I'm telling you, and he can't tell him because now the teams are going to go after. But he's one of those guys who has more heart than brains at times. So when he gets into the heat of the action, he's not thinking about protecting himself, really. So I worry about that with the injuries. It just seems like this is going to be set up to be a tough division, ugly, low-scoring game. So I'll probably stay out of it and look for something live. I do like the props, maybe Bucky Irvin to get in the end zone or either Ekbuka to go over like 45 yards or something. I think he's only at 44.5. That shows you, though, how bad the passing game right now is for the Bucs when Ekbuka is only at 44.5. His total is usually around 60 before. But I think with Mike Evans coming back and stretching the field, as long as he's healthy and looking like himself, I think that Ekbuka will get some good looks then as well. So I'll be looking for some props on this game.
All right. We got FCF playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Stephen F. Austin takes on Montana State. Nothing from here. Take it away. Minus 12.5 over 51.5. What have you seen in this one?
Montana State is a great program. Brett Vegan does a great job every year. They've been to the door, and they've never been able to kick it in. Like I think they have one championship, I want to say, maybe in the last decade or so. But besides that, they've had a lot of close calls. Solid defensive team. They'll be playing in Bozeman. It's going to be some horrible weather, man. Weather's going to be like, I want to say 70 70% chance of snow, probably about 20 degrees. So expect almost, like real wintry conditions. I don't know if that hurts Stephen F. Austin as much as it hurts Montana State, because Montana State is a very offensive-minded team, really good quarterback who transferred from Stanford over there, who's a dual threat guy. Interesting for me, but me personally, I got to take the points with Stephen F. Austin, even though their defense sucked last week against Abilene Christian, even though I lost the game because I had Abilene. Well, I split it. I had Abilene Christian first half for the game, so I split it. But and I thought Abilene Christian was going to win the game because I think that their quarterback's a little bit more consistent. The problem why I got with land 2 touchdowns is that Stephen F. Austin has some really good skill guys. They have some guys on the outside and some running backs that can, really move the ball. Texas guys, of course, Texas high school kids. So with Texas high school kids going against Montana State, who's going to have the local kids from Montana and a couple good transfers, I know they have a great program, but I just can't fade Texas high school football in these type of situations, especially with 12.5. So I'll probably be a Huckleberry, but give me the points, man. Montana State has not been covering of late in the playoffs. I think spread might have got a ring at the doorbell or something. You guys give us one moment. We're about to get to the Ball and Parlay. If you have any comments or questions, throw them up right now, and I'll answer some as we wait for spread to come back.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that. I am back, though, but I did hear everything you said. You're taking the Texas boy there, Stephen F. Austin. Let's go ahead and move on to the Ball and Parlay with our favorite play of the day. We already talked about mine. Too many points there in San Antonio. I don't understand this line move because, like I told you, I haven't been betting that much NBA. I looked, at the openers, 4.5. That seemed about right. I don't know if there's a huge edge there. Kind of like San Antonio, even at 4.5. I feel like I have a huge edge here at 7.5. I think they will keep it close. And remember, this is a TV show at the end of the day. But all this TV executives really need is the Lakers to advance. Doesn't really matter if they cover or not, as long as they get their precious Lakers heading to Las Vegas. They'll end up getting that, but it's going to be a close game. Maybe they'll try and get some attention here because, like you said, these boring games, it's tough to compete. I mean, you see that BYU ending, and then I look over and just watch the sterile NBA, game, and they're just, knocking down threes like they're free throws still, but just didn't have the same energy. ESPN and Amazon Prime need something to promote this tournament, and it's going to be a Lakers buzzer beater tonight. Spurs cover the spread.
All right, so with the Spurs, I agree with you on that one. I'm laying the 14.5 with OKC. I think that in these situations, they always come to play. Throw up a quick comment real quick by my guy. What's up, Nick? Nick is off today, so he's able to tune in and give us some comments. That's my guy back in the H. So he says he thinks Tarleton's going to win. It's funny that he said that. I actually, if we did a future segment, would have gave out Tarleton at plus 225. I agree with you. It was plus 260 a couple days ago, but now I'm looking at it's down to plus 225, at least here in Vegas. They're set up really well because North Dakota State got upset. So there's very much a chance for Tarleton State. What I worry about, though, Nick, with Tarleton State, excellent running game, excellent speed on the outside, ferocious defense. Man, can a quarterback complete enough passes? He's one of those guys that the same things I worry about with Texas Tech going into the playoffs. Like both of those quarterbacks for Tarleton State and for Texas Tech, they're guys who can throw the ball off play action deep. But when it comes to just working from the pocket and getting through their checks, they're not that good, at that. They can air it out. They got big arms. They can throw some strikes on some 15-yard and stops, after the play action to guys. But can they read a defense when they need to and get it done? So, look, Tarleton, I like them. I also was looking at Montana, Nick, at plus 900. Montana and Tarleton on the same side. So they would face each other, I believe, in the semis. And if they have to go to Montana, that's going to be a tough trip for them because besides losing to Montana State earlier this year, but I got the cover on that game. Montana's, I want to say, went 3 seasons without losing at home in Missoula. So interesting. You guys keep up with the FCS playoffs, man. I love FCS football. It's a very pure version of football, in my opinion, man. Okay, so and I've been killing it on tennis. It's one tournament going. It's indoor WTA Limoges in France. So it's early in the morning, but it's a good time for people who are on Central Standard Time. Like this match is go off for like 6:40. It'll be 4:40 for us. Spread. I'm gonna go with Mignon Leonard. She's a local French girl who's been really hot lately. Like she's been playing good tennis, matching up against Anna Siskova. Siskova, you hear the Kova, so you know she's a Czech girl. She's pretty good. She's 200, ranked player up in there. I just think that right now Leonard's playing well, and with her being at home, she'll be able to get it done at -105. So give me Leonard over Siskova in the WTA, and I'm going to take OKC and later -14.5. Anything for the people spread before we get out of here today?
Yeah, it's a quick college basketball question. If you were to do your rankings, who is the #1 team in the nation right now? Michigan's made a statement there. Of course, UConn looks good. Man, a lot of good teams here. Arizona? I mean, who would you have at #1?
It's not even close. I took Michigan at +1,000 to win the championship after I saw them the first week play. And now they're down to +500. So you guys better try to get it in if you can. They have the best player in the whole country over there, and Axel Rod. I think his name Axel. What's this kid's name?
Yeah, I know. It's Yaxel. Yaxel.
1 second, let me tell you, because he's from Puerto Rico. I know the kid because I watched him play before that. He came from UAB or Charlotte, I think UAB, but I have him to actually win. Yaxel Lindenberg. I have him to win Player of the Year at +900. Also, I got Reed Shepherd to win the Sixth Man of the Year at +750. But they have him. He's to me the best NBA prospect coming out of guys who are actually, I'm sure they got some kids in G League or overseas that I haven't seen yet, or in high school or whatever. But this guy, as far as in college basketball players, he's the best that I've seen this year. 6'8", 6'9", strong body, can shoot the three at a 45% clip, dunking on stuff. And then he has a lot of good players around him. They have so many guards in Michigan. Everyone can shoot the three. Then they got the big man, Mara, that came over from UCLA, who's 7 foot. And we've seen how good Dusty May does with coaching big men. Dusty May is a really good coach. He did a phenomenal job at Florida Atlantic before coming to Michigan, man. Sheem Lindsay says it's the Dukies. They're too young, baby. When they play at Michigan, Michigan's going to smack them. They're too young. Michigan's too deep for them. They're too deep for them. So I think the championship is Michigan and Kansas. I think that by the time the Final Four comes around, Darren Peterson is back to himself, and with also another good deep roster with Kansas, and Bill Self is a hell of a coach, and especially a good tournament coach. Those are my two favorite. I put a flyer on Kansas as well, just because you're going to get a ridiculous number, because with Darren Peterson dealing with the hamstring injury that he was dealing with, he missed a couple games, and they're not as valued as they were before, but they're a really good team, and he's the type of guy that can take over a game.
Yeah, yesterday Michigan played Villanova, and I was listening to some of the preview pods that, some of the other people put out, and I heard a lot of good arguments for Villanova, but I'm just like, I can't do it. Like, you're crazy. Like,
I'm loaded on Michigan first half -10.5. They were up like 30 at halftime. They're doing everybody like close. That. They're the best bet right now in college basketball. Them and Indiana.
Are they like Houston was a year ago? Just better.
They're like Houston was, because Houston isn't there this year. And the reason why is at the end, we might make it to the Final Four. I can't see our team beating Michigan because they just got too much spurtability. Our team is going to get down and play dirty and, hustle and play defense. But the thing that's going to hurt Houston in the long run is more talent than last year, but it's not a better team, man. You got the young boy who's in this plays at the wing. He's really good. He's going to be a pro, but he still doesn't take good shots. And then you got Seenock, who's down low, and they don't use him enough. He's 6'11". He's probably going to be one and done. He's 6'11", shoots the threes, a perfect stretch for, but Coach Sampson doesn't run enough plays for him. And then, Tuggle out of Monroe, So I'm always rooting for him, but he misses way too many layups around the rim, man. He gets offensive boards and can't score. So until things evolve for Houston and they learn how to play together, I'm not thinking that they can get it done this year. I think Michigan is better than them this year. I think Duke is better than them this year. UConn, we could beat. UConn isn't that good. They depend on Solo Ball. If Solo Ball isn't playing well, then I don't like them. And he doesn't consistently every night play well, but he is a guy that usually rises to the occasion in games. So those are the teams that I'm.
Do you like Houston against Arizona?
Oh, I took Houston to win the Big 12, but it's gonna be tough, man. Arizona has a good team.
Arizona looking good.
Yeah, Arizona has a good team. Pete is really good. Andres, Pete's little brother, they come from a family of athletes. His dad played in the pros at left tackle or right tackle, and his brother's in the pros right now at tackle. And now he's a power forward with some of the best feet that I've seen in college basketball in a long time. So, yeah, they're going to be good. For sure, they're going to be good. Arizona, they might make a little run. I worry about their guards, though. One of their guards is Money. He gets it done. But the other, they don't have a lot of depth at guards. And I feel like a smart coach, like how Coach Sampson is, he's going to trap him and not let him beat him. So, that's going to be tough for out of winning the Big 12 out of Arizona and Houston. But I did take a flyer on Houston. But I love Michigan. I love Michigan State this year. Duke is very talented, but we're going to see how they respond when they're going against veteran teams. North Carolina's one to watch as well. Really talented team that can outscore you if they get on their pace. So it's going to be a good year in college basketball, man.
Yeah, I was like, this is great. Why have I been doing this? And then I read, and I think it's either John Rothstein or Matt Norlander, but they were like, this is the most ranked matchups in non-conference play in the history of college basketball this year.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why, like, every night, like last night, I'm like, Florida versus UConn. I'm like, this is awesome, right? BYU Clemson ended up being real good. I had Illinois last night. That was kind of a fun win. Watching Paige's kid out there, right? Well, now we're so old, we're watching all our favorite players' kids. I like him, though. He's a better athlete than his dad was. But there's so much good stuff going on in college basketball. So I'll be excited as the NFL winds down as we
we want to have the pro rolling. That's one of our things. In the spring, we talk a lot. I cover the college basketball and you do the NBA, but now you're going to be talking some college basketball with me. So maybe we can specialize a little bit more on college basketball this spring. Hey guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in. All who rock with the Wagering World, you guys hit that like button. If you tune in later, make sure you hit the like button. Give me some comments at the bottom. Tell us what you think about the show. We really appreciate that. As always, I dedicate this show to the greatest Houston sports fan that I know, and that's my father, John H. Lindsay, for Spread Us Down 5-star in Vegas. Hey, man, it's always us versus the machine. This is the Wagering World.